This video will discuss how to find slope if you're given a graph. So first of all, take some time to think about and reflect what you think of when you hear the word slope. So pause the video and think about that. What comes to your mind when you think of slope? So most of the time when I ask that question, I'll get that students say they think of going rock climbing. So if I was rock climbing here, okay, it's the steepness of the slope here. So it makes this hill right here more difficult of a climb than this one here because of its slope, the steepness of the hill. This one is flatter, so it's easier to climb. So the slope of a line tells how steep the line is and by how much the line rises. So if it rises, it has a positive slope, or falls, it will have a negative slope. So to tell if the slope is considered negative or positive, we're always going to read our graphs from the left side of the graph to the right, just like when we did when we graphed inequalities. We always read the graph from the left to the right, just like when we did domain and range. We look at the graph from the left to the right. So one way to think about it is if we think about a roller coaster, okay? So if the roller coaster goes from the left side to the right side, and the roller coaster here, you're going up. So everyone's happy, they're excited about the ride. So that slope of this is positive, okay? Then here, the roller coaster, we're going now downhill, so it's negative. And then here, we're just cruising along here. We're having zero fun right here. So zero fun. So the slope of a horizontal line is zero because we're having zero fun if we want to think of it in the context of a roller coaster. And then we get here and we're like, undefined. So the slope of a vertical line here is undefined. So you can use that to help you when you look at a line, identify whether the slope is positive, negative, zero, or undefined. So slope is to get the actual number for slope. So we just talked about how to tell if it's zero, negative, positive, or undefined. But to actually get the number, like 2 or 2/3, slope is the ratio of the rise to the run. So rise, it's a ratio, so we can write a ratio in a fraction form here. So rise over run. So when I think of rise, if I'm sitting in a chair right now or I'm in bed, if I rise, I have to get up. So that's my vertical change. If I'm sitting and then I get up, I'm changing my height. And then if I want to go running, if I go outside right now, my door, I could either go left of my house or I could go right of my house. So that is the horizontal change, the horizontal movement. Okay, so when we leave our answer for slope, when graphing at least, it's best to write your slope as a simplified proper, so this is a proper fraction when the top is smaller than the bottom, or improper, that's when the bigger number is on top, or an integer, that means the numerator and the denominator like this can go in, the denominator goes into the numerator 3 whole times. So it could be like that as well and then get a -3. So we always leave our answers for slope typically in these forms, fractional form or as an integer. Sometimes we'll leave our answers as decimals if it makes sense. Just like if I told someone I need 2/3 cups of flour, I wouldn't tell them I need 0.6 repeating cups. It makes more sense for what I'm using fractions for, in that case, to say 2/3 instead of 0.6 repeating. So same thing with slope. It depends what we're doing. So let's go ahead and do an example now. So the first step is you need to pick any 2 points. So we're going to go to our graph, and for the purpose of this, let's all pick the point -2, 3. So go ahead and highlight that there so you see the point we're picking. And then let's also pick this point, the vertical intercept, 0, 2. Okay. So then step 2 is we're going to find the rise. So remember the rise, if I get up and I rise up, that's my vertical movement. So I always start with the point that's below. So this purple point is below this blue point here. But it really doesn't matter. So if I start at the purple point, to get to the blue point, I have to change a height of 1. So my rise is 1. Then the third step is I need to find the run. So if I go running, I can go left or I could go right. That's my horizontal movement. So I can move, I'm going to change 1, 2. So my run is 2. And from the left, if this is a roller coaster, to the right, we are going down. So because we're going downward from the left to the right, that's how I know that my slope is negative. So we need to put -1/2. And then we always check and make sure it's completely simplified. Nothing can go into 1 and 2. Now, so our slope is -1/2. Now, I'm going to redo that problem. But instead, I'm going to pick 2 different points. So I'm going to pick the point -4, 4. And this time, I'm going to pick this point here, which is at 2, 1. So I'm going to go ahead and pick those 2 points. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do rise over run. So I'm going to rise. I'm going to start with the one on the bottom. This one's below this one up here on top. So it doesn't matter. That's just what I always do. So I have to change vertically by 1, 2, 3. So my rise is 3. And then I'm going to run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then again, it's going down the line from the left side to the right side. We're going downward, so that's how I know it's negative. Now what you should notice is -1/2 was the answer we got here. Here we got -3/6, but remember, if we simplify our answers, we get the exact same slope, which is -1/2. So it doesn't matter which 2 points I pick. I also want to mention, you need to make sure that it says to pick any 2 points, but you want to pick 2 points that if I asked you what the ordered pair is, you don't have to estimate it. So in other words, I don't want to pick this point right here, because that ordered pair is at 1, 2 points. I don't know exactly. I'd have to get or estimate that. So I don't want to pick the point, those kind of points. So I don't want to pick this point here, or this point here, or this point here, or this point here. I want to pick points that I could read it exactly to you. So like this point, or this one, or this one. So I want to pick all the ones that, if I asked you, what's that ordered pair, you would be able to tell me 4, 0. If I asked you what this ordered pair was here, you'd be able to tell me -2, 3. The ones that you can read, the integer ordered pairs. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the next example here. So the first step is pick any 2 points. So you can pause the video now if you think you got it and see if you can do it. If not, keep playing. So rise over run. So I need to pick 2 points. So I'm going to pick this one and this one. I could also pick this one and this one if I want. It goes through through the point there as well. That point there is 2, 2, so I can also pick that point there. So it does not matter. Any 2 points will work. So I'll go back to my original 2 points here. So I'm going to start with the one that's below. That's just what I do. It doesn't matter. You can go this way instead. But I always get in the habit to just do the same thing for every single problem. So I'm going to rise 1, 2. So my rise is 2. And then I'm going to run 2. And then remember to tell if our sign is negative or positive. From the left to the right, the roller coaster would be going upward. So our slope is positive. So when it's positive, we don't need to write that it's positive. If it doesn't have a negative, we know it's positive. Well, we could simplify both of these. 2 goes into both of them. So we get 1 over 1, which just equals 1. So our slope is positive 1. Okay, so if we again think back to this roller coaster here, when you look at the slope, you should immediately know if it's going upwards, it's positive. So just like this one was going upwards, so it's positive. And then if it's going down, it's negative. And if it has a slope of 0, like this ride right here, this is 0 fun. We're just going on a straight line here. But when the ride goes straight vertically, a lot of people are scared, but they are having a lot of fun. And that's the most steep slope there. And we call that undefined. Okay, and then again, to get the actual numbers, you have to do rise over run. Okay, so if we take a look at our next example here, it says, what is the slope of line A? So I want to know from here to here, if this was a line, okay, it kept going here, if we had a line there, I want to know what is that slope. So to find the slope, we do rise over run. So I'm going to go ahead and pick 2 points, and pick this one and this one. And then I'm going to rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my rise is 5, and then my run is 1. And then it's going upward from the left to the right, so it's positive. So we get a slope of 5. Okay, now if we take a look at B, so I'm going to pick 2 points on B. I'm going to pick those 2, and I'm going to rise 1. And then I'm going to run 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, it's going upwards from the left to the right, so we know that our slope is positive 1/4. Okay, so what I'd like for you to notice, if I was on a roller coaster right now, and I was trying to decide which one's going to be the most scariest if we were going up the roller coaster, I'm thinking you guys all would agree here that this is the most steep part in comparison to B over here. Well, if we take a look at the answer for A, okay, we got 5, which is much higher than 1/4. So what I want you to see here is when you get a high number, now again, slopes are pretty small numbers here on our graphs, but if I get a number that's smaller, I should expect that my line is closer to being flat. So the closer the slope value is to 0, because remember 0 looks like this. It's 0 fun on a roller coaster if we're just going horizontally like that. Since B looks the closest to this slope should be close to this, which is 0. So B, the slope for B is closer. This is closer to 0 than this is. So the closer the slope is to 0, the flatter or less steep the line is. So the less steep line is B. Its slope is closer to 0. So you should have common sense now when you look at a line and you give me an answer on a test and you tell me that the slope is 10. That means you're going to have a very steep line. It's going to look almost undefined. It's going to look almost vertical. If the slope is flatter, it should have an answer that is closer to 0, like 1/4 or negative 1/4 or negative 2/3, okay? Or 3/4, let's say. It should have a closer value to 0. Okay, so that concludes part 1 of the video. What I would like for you to do now is to take out a piece of paper, number it 1 through 6, put your name on it, and I want you to do the next 6 problems. So make sure that this video is on Zoom on your computer, or on preferably on a computer, or else the squares on the graph are really small. But I would like for you to find the slope of the graphs in the next 6 problems. You're going to hand this in to me on Monday to show me that you watched this video. So make sure you have it on a separate sheet of paper with your name on it. Look at the graph, pause the video, try the problem, and then push play to check your answer. So here is the first graph. I would like for you to find me the slope. So go ahead and pause the video and try this example, then push play to see if you're correct. Okay, so we need to pick any 2 points. So I'm going to pick this one here and this one here. So 0, 0, and 2, 3 are the points I'm going to pick. And then I'm going to start with the bottom point, and I'm going to rise. So that means my vertical distance, or vertical change, so 3. And then I'm going to run. So that's my horizontal movement. Okay, then to tell if our answer is 3/2 or negative 3/2, we look at the graph from the left, so from this side to the right, we're going upwards. So our answer is 3/2, positive 3/2. So it's not if you put 1.5 that's not technically correct, but I want you to practice leaving your answer as a simplified fraction if this number down here doesn't evenly divide into the numerator, the 3. Okay, so again, pause the video and try this next problem. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pick this point here, and I'm going to rise. So I'm going to start with the bottom point. I'm going to rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes. And then I'm going to run. So when I go running, I go left to right of my house. So that's 1. I'm going this way, 1. And then 5 divided by 1 is 5. And then if I look at the graph from the left to the right, the roller coaster is going up. So the slope is positive 5. And again, notice that this is a very steep slope in comparison to this one, which was 3/2, which 3/2 is 1.5. So this one's steeper because the slope is bigger. Okay, go ahead and pause the video and try this next problem. Okay, so one way to do this problem is just to look at it. Think of the roller coaster. If the roller coaster was going up this, you'd be like, undefined as you come down here. So I could just look at it and know that the slope is undefined. Also, mathematically, if we use rise over run, pick any 2 points. So I'm going to pick this one and this point. So I'm going to pick the point 2, 2 and the point 2, 4. And I'm going to rise. So I need to rise 1, 2. So my rise is 2. And then I don't need to go left or right. So 0. Well, 2 divided by 0, we can't divide by 0. We call that undefined. So the slope is undefined. Okay, go ahead again and try this problem. Pause the video and try this example, then push play to see if you are correct. Okay, so when I look at this video, I can pick, or I'm sorry, when I look at this line here, I can pick 2 points. And then I could do rise over run, or I could just think of my roller coaster. If I'm just going, cruising along here on the little roller coaster ride, I'm having 0 fun on this ride. So my slope is just 0. Or you can also, instead of using that idea of the roller coaster, you could do it mathematically. I don't need to rise. I don't need to go up. I don't need to get down to get to that point there, or vice versa. So my rise is 0, and my run is 2. Well, 0 divided by 2 is 0. 2 times 0 is 0. So that is possible. The slope is 0. Whereas this one over here, 2 divided by 0, that's not possible. Nothing can multiply by 0 to get 2. It's not possible. We call that undefined, whereas this one, 2 times 0 is 0. So 0 divided by 2 is 0, whereas 2 divided by 0 is undefined. Okay, last one here. Go ahead and pause the video. Try it on your own. Now, without even doing, at the start of this problem, without getting any numbers, if I look at the graph from the left, so this side, to this side, if we're on a roller coaster, we're going down. So I know that means that my slope is negative. So sometimes it's good to start with that so you don't forget the sign. So then I'm going to pick any 2 points. So I'm going to pick the point 2, 3, and then I'm going to pick the point 4, 2 right there. Okay, and then I'm going to rise 1, and then I'm going to run 2. So I would get a slope of -1/2, which is close to 0. -1/2 is close to 0. So this line is more flat than the other, than a line that has a slope of 5, let's say. So again, I want to remind you that you can pick any 2 points. So like if I pick this one and this one, they're further apart. That means I'm going to have to simplify in the end. I'd have to rise 4, and then I'd have to run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The numbers are slightly bigger, but it still simplifies to 1/2, and it's negative still because it's going downwards. So make sure to write those answers down for me, and I will collect those in class.